What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back again with another 90-day fiance video, and this one right here is all about Tiffany in the most recent episode of The Single Life season 3 episode 4. And to be fair with you, man, I'm looking forward to this one because I know Tiffany has recently come back on the market and she's definitely now looking to explore her royal oats. Hopefully she's going to find the right man that's obviously going to sweep her up and take her into the right direction. But of course, before we get into that, let's start off by giving a big massive shout out to every single person that is a member of the channel, that is a member of Patreon, and that is a subscriber as we continue to grow. Now, with that being said, let's dive in and see exactly what went down with Tiffany.
Blaze up. My name is Tiffany. I'm 30 and I'm from Frederick, Maryland. I live with my 2 kids. Daniel is 11 years old and Carly is 2 years old. My husband Ronald and I are separated and he lives in South Africa. We couldn't work through our issues no matter how hard we tried. So I've been single for about 6 months. Since then, I feel so much happier, so much more energetic.
That's one of the key things after being in a long-term relationship, finding that mojo, finding that groove, finding that thing that allows you to feel happier, energetic, and more confident, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people go back into the dating scene when they haven't really, sorted out themselves. And I like the fact that she seems as if she has worked on herself and now she's ready to mingle. So hopefully it all goes well. Hey, let's get into it.
Just being with Ronald was taking a big toll on me emotionally. Ever since we separated, he is constantly telling me, let's get back together, let's get back together. But he's not willing to change. Ronald and I were together for almost 6 years. He is South African, and we met while I was on vacation. We hit it off immediately, and I fell in love with Ronald. But I found out Ronald had a severe gambling addiction, and getting a K-1 visa for him to come to the U.S. was a long shot.
Hi, Dad.
How are you? But I was in love, so I moved to South Africa to marry Ronald, and I took Daniel with me.
You made your bride.
Ronald is not Daniel's biological father, but he was such a good dad to him that we wasted no time and immediately got pregnant with our daughter, Carly Rose. Living with a recovering addict was so much harder than I could have ever imagined it would be.
It's crazy though, man, because their story started off, despite him being an addict, it started off as if like it was a fairy tale, She's a single mother, she's met a guy, he's welcoming him into her son, they've now decided to have the second kid. And you're thinking, hey man, things can only go up, but some people just can't get out of bad habits because, well, they just don't try hard enough, in my opinion. Because, I mean, listen, we look at the world that we live in now. There are so many resources for so many things that we go for on a daily basis. And some of them things do cost a lot. Some of them we can get them free of charge, depending on your country, depending on your situation. But at the end of the day, they are there. And I feel like people should be using them, people should be using these resources to actually help them. Not because there are people who use these resources, but they use them just to say, hey, I'm doing this. But really and truly, they're not dedicated to the cause. So you got to be dedicated to the cause of whatever it is you're going through or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, we continue.
Do the hard things, Ronald.
Like what? Change diaper? No, that's your job. Keep quiet. Know your place.
I'm being mistreated. I'm going to walk away.
Here's your luggage. Pack your and go then.
I was not happy in my relationship. I was unhappy with it all. So I ended up going back to the U.S. and I told him, go on with your life. I don't want to be with you. We're done.
Would you blame her after that type of behavior with him? Hell to the no. You do you, girl. Mom,
we got to call Dad to say goodnight. Ronald and I have to see each other at least once a day, unfortunately. You ready? Because the kids do need contact with their dad. Hello?
Hi.
I'm going to put you on video call with the kids because I'm going to get them in bed soon. Nice.
Hello. Hi, Dad.
What you up to? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I like so much better. Yeah, to be hard.
Well,
Okay, bye.
this is quite infuriating, to be honest with you, because if you really love your kids, then why don't you sort yourself out? I mean, listen, I believe that when you do things, you should always do things for yourself. Because, the internal care is so much more longer lasting than the external care, right, that you give yourself, right? But when you have children that are going to be in your life forever, that's when you can use that external care because it's something that you can use forever because it's related to your child. So really and truly, despite the fact that their marriage is gone now, their relationship is dead now, the fact that it could have been saved, and it could have been saved if he had taken certain things seriously in terms of recovering from his own addictions and whatnot. But clearly having children and loving his children wasn't enough. And I will never really understand that, to be honest with you. Obviously, I've never been an addict to anything, but I would never understand anyone that has been an addict. Like if you can't do it for yourself, but then you're now in a position when you've got a child or you've got children, or even you've got the person that's in your life that you love. I just don't understand how that is not enough to convince yourself that, not even convince yourself, it's just enough for you to say, hold a minute, light bulb, I've got everything that I could ever want in terms of a wife that I love. Looks after me, and I've also got the kids that I love and they love me. So what's my excuse? I'm not dedicating myself to fixing the issues that I have. I will never understand because clearly I'm not an addict, but I've never been an addict or anything. But at the same time, no, do I really need to be an addict to understand? No, because there's something called the principles of life. And there's so many of them, of course, but depending on your lifestyle, you got to look at what they are. And for him, one of the principles in his life is that he had a wife, got kids, and that was more than enough for him to get his butt into gear. But instead, some people live this life of being entitled and I guess borderline freaking narcissistic. But hey, let's continue.
Grandma's about to get here. I'll make sure the kids call you again tomorrow, okay?
Since when did you dress like that around the house?
I'm gonna go somewhere.
You going on a date?
I think it's a little bit inappropriate for you to ask.
I agree. It is an improper thing to ask. What's it got to do with you? You've lost her. End of conversation. Move on. You should be a father now.
When I saw when you stood up now, you're good. You're good.
Thank you. I'll call you with them again tomorrow. Bye-bye. It feels so weird for the person that you married to ask you if you're going on ready to go.
Alright, so tonight,
We're gonna get you wild. We're gonna get you crazy. You need to go and have fun and let loose.
While I'm out with my friends.
To be honest with you, I think he should consider himself lucky that she's actually willing to do the whole FaceTimes every day, but she doesn't want to. And that's good though, because it shows that they have some form of a good relationship in terms of, you know, him being able to see his kids obviously on the daily, on the webcam and whatnot. And I'm hoping he does other things as well to support the kids, you know, and he's lucky that she's done that because a lot of women that wouldn't do that, to be honest with you. So at least they still have that, you know, and that shows that clearly there is a care for the children. But at the same time, though, is this only happening because she cares about her children or their children seeing their father, you know? Because it shows that he had a responsibility to do things to show that he cared about his relationship with his kids. But he didn't do nothing about it. He stayed doing the madness, being, you know, we saw the clip, right? You know what I mean? So it's a good thing that she's not going to let that stuff kind of block her from saying, you know what, but you can still see your kids. But I'm sure I'm making sense. I just feel like I'm not now, but I feel like I made sense the first time. Let's continue.
Watch the kids.
You deserve it. You deserve it, bitch.
I do. I'm so excited for tonight. My friend Fauna and Brooke are taking me out for drinks, and they said they have a surprise for me, so we'll see. I have to tell myself, like, Tiffany, don't feel guilty. Like, the kids are fine.
It's the mom guilt.
That's
The mom
right.
guilt.
Here we are. Are you ready? I mean, it's been forever since I've gone out to, like, a club. I feel out of my element. I'm always home.
welcome to your new element.
No way. Oh, my God. I've never done this, but it's definitely time to have fun and bring out my wild side. He's waking up. Tiffy is my pooha.
Ah, man. I'm sure everyone has named theirs, you know what I mean?
Let those cobwebs out, baby.
I don't think I'm gonna meet my dream man here at the strip club.
Get those hands out of your face.
But I know he's somewhere out there, and I know he's waiting for me. He's like dreaming about me right now. This handsome, sexy, rugged Scottish man with red hair, aka Sam Heughan, plays James Fraser, favorite show Outlander. He's so handsome. I want to kiss him. But getting back out there is really scary for me because Ronald and I were together for over 6 years. I'm like rusty. I don't know how to date. I have no idea how to even flirt anymore. I did not expect a penis in my face.
You like it.
Can we go get something to eat? I'm dying. I'm so hungry. Let's go.
French toast. Thank you.
Even though it's been a few months already, and now you want to go to sleep with like so much on my mind, like, you know, my family and all, and dating. I'm very shy. I'm not a big fan of the dating apps, but like I'm only on all of them. I'm trying to find my next husband. So I want to tell you guys something. I actually have been talking to somebody who I actually already know in person.
Is it good? You know, I'll let that marinate a little bit. Let's just see where it goes. Someone that she already knows. I mean, that's not really a fresh start, but it's not always a bad thing, though. You know what I mean? It's not a bad thing, you know? Someone you already know, maybe they'll go the right direction for you, but I'm one of the people that believes a fresh start means a fresh start. But anyway, let's continue.
So his name's Faith.
But of course, that is just a preference of mine, so I guess it's not like something that I should use to ever, like, you know, tell someone, I wouldn't do it if I was, you know what I mean? Because it's a me thing, not a them thing. If it works for them, it works for them, so yeah.
Is this like a old flame? Yep. Type of situation? Yes, from like 7 years ago. He is from where I'm from in New Jersey. We had such amazing chemistry. But like after me and Ronald like split, he was like in my DMs, and I realized he DM'd me a few times. Fabian. Oh my goodness, he's so cute. Blue eyes. So if you guys hung out like in person, we FaceTime. He FaceTimes me a lot, like every morning before work. He just checks in. He's like, "How are you doing?" And he tells me all the time, like, "You're an amazing mom." Like just positive. And he's coming to me like next weekend, the whole weekend. Fabian is 32 years old. He's a hairdresser and he owns his own salon. Both of us are very spicy, passionate, and we both have strong Latino roots. Fabian's originally from Colombia.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the fact that these two have some form of history tells me it's a wrap. Like, I wouldn't even entertain it. It's a waste of bloody time. Like, if it didn't work the first time, then why is it going to work this time? And even if it does work this time, no. I just don't really believe in this whole old flame thing. I feel like the old flame situation is more like a last resort. You know, when you're like, I don't know, like, maybe 40, 50, and you're like, oh man, I need someone. I don't mind settling. Okay, cool. You know? Yeah, but okay, whatever. But hey, man, listen, I don't judge. Whatever works for people works for people. It's just a me thing. But let's continue.
And I'm Cuban and Colombian. It's definitely kind of like a sexual chemistry. This is crazy. I'm kind of nervous to go on a date, but it's been years. I don't know. You're like really excited about it. Look at her. Look at the face. I'm getting back out there and trying to push myself to date again. You know, it is really scary for me, but I'm definitely determined to not let Ronald pull me back in and suck me into staying with him. I do want to move on. I do want to see what's out there for me. I am open for love.
I like what you said. I like what she said there, though, about being sucked in. She doesn't want to be sucked in, and I agree with that, man. End of the day, one of the worst things is to be sucked in, you know, by someone from the past that you know isn't great for you. So yeah, definitely the right mentality you want to put in your head moving forward, because it stops you from being sucked in, or at least hope she does. Yeah, but I'm sure that she won't be sucked in. But she seems quite good that she's happy that she's left him anyway. But yeah, we continue.
Today I have a date, and I'm really nervous. My date, Fabian, is actually a fling from like over 7 years ago, before I met Ronald. One thing I definitely remember about my previous sexual relations with Fabian, he's exactly what a guy should be in bed, which is very giving, and of that. I'm like scared. What if like my brain...
The fact that their past is based on the sexual experience, who says that he just wasn't waiting to have you in bed again? I mean, I don't know. I mean, listen, if that's what it was the first time, then it's probably going to be all it is the second time, to be honest with you, because it seems as if that emotional connection wasn't there the first time. And of course, could you get it the second time? Yeah, you can, but are you going to? But you never really know, because you don't know what his intentions are. But hey, we continue.
is ready to let go, but what if my heart's like, nope? What if I'm with Fabian and I feel nothing? This is my first date after separating from Ronald. And it is such a big deal because I was so fully invested in Ronald that my biggest fear about moving on is that I can't do it. Excuse me, sorry. Hi. How are you? How are you? So cool. How are you? It's been a long time.
Okay, cool. Oh, yes. Oh, my God. Look at you.
Thank you.
You're gorgeous.
Thank you.
My name is Fabian. Tiffany and I dated like around 7 years ago. So when I found out that Tiffany broke up with her ex-husband, I looked at it as a great opportunity getting to know her again. But I haven't seen Tiffany in 7 years. I'm a little nervous. My hands are sweaty. I love your dress. It's my favorite color. And
Your eyes got really big when you looked. I'm like,
I'm looking at something I like, that's why.
why did you get a drink with a jalapeno?
Because I'm half Mexican, girl. What do you mean? You want to try it?
I like you spicy, but not the...
Just get a cherry on top, that's it. Say that if you make a knot with your tongue,
Kiss?
you gotta go kiss them too. Then blush your lips.
I'm gonna start blushing.
How you been?
I've been good.
Well, can you believe I'm nervous? Since I've
Why
been
are you
through,
nervous?
it's just the fact that all this is new to me. I personally got out of a 5-year relationship.
So what happened?
Well, the reason why is because she wanted a family already. I still wanted to travel. I still want to build my own business. So because of that, the relationship was little by little chipping away. So it was 5 years of that.
Everything is going fine until Fabian mentions that he broke things off with his ex because she wanted to start a family. Like, hello? I've got 2 kids. I already have a family. Is that going to be a problem?
I love this conversation. No, it's not going to be a problem. No, it's not. Because the fact is, though, this isn't necessarily my translation to what he's saying. This is my own translation to myself when I have the same bloody issue. I say, listen, at the end of the day, right, I know that I don't want children, right? Probably maybe never, but right now I know I don't want children, right? if you got a kid, that's fine, because at the end of the day, your kid is your kid. It's not my kid. Of course, obviously, if I'm going to be dating you on a relationship, of course, I'm going to help you with your child. You know what I mean? Obviously, why wouldn't I? That's stupid, right? But the fact is, this is that, you see, how can I put it? At the end of the day, like, if you've got a kid of your own, something that's happened before I've met you, that is something that has happened before I've met you. It's a past thing. It's not a present thing. You know, it's different if you're saying, hey, man, I want to have kids with you, right? You know what I mean? No. This is your life. Like, I'm not going to say no to you just because you've got a kid. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say no just because you got a family already. No, that's you. You did that before I existed. But clearly, there's something here that we have. And I want to see where it can go. You know what I mean? Of course, you know, in that time, obviously, I'm going to potentially end up meeting your kids and whatnot, which is fine, because at the end of the day, being around, if you're an amazing person, makes me happy. And then when I'm around your kids, you know, everything's all good and they like me and I like them. Well, then end of the day, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes people project too much the idea that they have children. It's like, no. You having a child isn't the issue at all. What I got to know is that are we compatible? If we're compatible, then everything else will fall in place. You know what I mean? There's nothing that needs to be thought about. There's just too much thinking being done at this time. Like, I get it, though. I get it how it looks that way. But, and to be fair, he said that he was in a relationship for 5 years and she was pushing for a family and whatnot, and he didn't want that. See, that's what happened in that previous relationship. You don't know if that, listen, the fact is that she obviously wasn't the one. Because at the end of the day, I will tell you this now firsthand, you know, if a man or a woman is in a relationship with someone, or if a man's in a relationship with a woman, end of the day, you know, if she's that great and she's that much of a gem, he will happily compromise certain things for her. You know what I mean? So it's not the end of the world. But again, though, that's what happened in his 5-year relationship. You see what I'm saying? Now he's in a different space in his life. He's obviously built his business. He's obviously still probably building it anyway and going forward with it. But you could be that person coming in that tells him, you know what, I actually want to do that stuff now, because there were so many men in this world, right? They'll be with someone, they'll be like, nah, I don't want this, I don't want that. But then they get with someone else, and then they want all of that stuff. The amount of guys that I've known going in a relationship with a girl, they'll be like, nah, I don't want kids right now, I don't want this right now. They'll break up with that girl. A few months later on, they were a new girl, and then boom, bam, she's pregnant. Yeah, but I'm so happy, man. I just had to, you know what I mean? So it's like, if a man doesn't want to give you certain things, that's just a sign to say that he's just not into you. It's just a sign to say that he's not that in love with you, or you know, or he doesn't really value you that much. Because if he does, unless his ego is really that big for him to achieve his goals, he will be like, listen, we can have the family. In fact, he'll have a conversation that involves a compromise of how we can do it. Rather than be like, no, it's not happening, we'll have a conversation of how we can do it, how we can manage it together. Teamwork is what it's all about. But anyway, we continue.
But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and talk to him about it later, because right now I just want to keep having a good time.
No. Talk about it right now. Because if you talk about it right now, it'll let you know where you're going. It will let you know the direction that you're going in. Because at the end of the day, we know that she wants something serious. So her just having a good time and then not knowing, then that means if this turns into a fling, then it's just a fling, isn't it? I'm just saying, they should just talk about. You know what? Okay, you know what? I'm a backtrack. I'm not gonna dig myself because they're having a nice little date and this isn't the scene to have the conversation. You know what? She's right. Let's not talk about it. But tomorrow, talk about it. Yes. So I agree with her. Actually, yes. Let's go.
How's your dancing skills, by the way?
I don't think I.
You don't dance at all, but you gotta have some fun. I'm gonna be your fun time tonight. Yeah?
Yeah. Oh my god, I did half a turn and I didn't get lost. I'm usually never be able to do that. It's because I have you as my instructor.
You wanna spin?
No, don't spin me. Not spin. Bye.
Why not? Go.
Now you're gonna give me a personal dance? Bye. I think I had enough strippers for 1 weekend. I definitely think Fabian's personality is 10 out of 10. There's moments where he's just talking and I catch myself just like, and that's exciting for me because I haven't felt this in so long.
I have a proposition for you. What? It's up to you. But would you like to come to my hotel tonight?
I've spent so many years with Ronald, so putting myself out there feels like I'm doing something wrong.
Well. I guess we won't know at the end we won't know how that turns out until next week or whichever week they decide to bring Tiffany back on the show, because of course they do a rotation anyway for each week. So yeah, that's a very interesting one. A very, very interesting. I'm pretty sure there's nothing else there. Yeah, their story's done for today. Yeah, it's a wrap. We have to wait until next week for that one, if you dig what I'm saying. But nonetheless, though, you guys let me know what you thought about Tiffany's, her putting herself back in the scene, and obviously the man that she's with at this moment in time, and of course anything that I said. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and peace. Come on now.